Hey guys, so it's Jenny. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but Candace asked me to just make you guys a little video because we have public speaking coming up in January. So thought you guys should start thinking about what you're going to want to speak about during public speaking. So I made a little presentation quickly. Some of you might recognize it from last year, but I added a little bit. So yeah. So first thing I wanted to talk about is why we public speak because a lot of kids are like, why are we doing this? This is boring. It's scary. But in reality, we public speak every single day. Every time you have a conversation with somebody, you're public speaking. And it's a great thing to practice because at least it always leads to great opportunity. You can't have any harm by getting better at public speaking. When you go out into the real world, you're going to have to do job interviews, talk to people, and that's all public speaking. It also leads to a lot of opportunities. So, as some of you might know, I got to go to Skills Canada this year and represent Alberta. And I actually placed second at Skills Canada. So that was kind of exciting. And I've done a lot of competitions this year that have actually earned me a little bit of money. So if you get good at it, 4-H also at provincials, you can win money. So that's a little incentive too. But it leads to other opportunities. It's always helpful in job interviews and stuff like that. So it's more important than you might think. So, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is how to write a speech because on competition day, you're going to have a prepared speech and an impromptu speech. So, your prepared speech, you're going to write it beforehand and you want to know it inside and out. So, the most important thing I think when talking and planning your speech is choosing something you are passionate about because it shows in how you're talking. Because if you're talking about, I don't know, World War II and you don't like World War II, you're going to stand up there and be like, da 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 da. If it's something you're really interested in, it's going to show in how you speak. So I think it's really important that you do pick something that you are passionate about. It also gives you a little bit of a way to add in personal details and stories, and that always gives more connection to the audience if you're talking from your perspective. Um, you do want to do some collection of information. Well, see, so for juniors, you guys could talk about your pets, your favorite ice cream, a family trip. It doesn't need to be that informational. It can all just be from the heart at a junior level. As you move up, intermediates, you can still talk about a family trip or your favorite animal, but you're going to want to start adding a little bit more facts and information into it. And then as a senior, you're not going to want to talk about personal things. You're going to want to talk about more political, informational stuff like that. You want to really advance your topics as you get older. The judges like to see more advanced topics and more information as you get older. Also, remember to, if you are researching, collect all your sources because on competition day, you will have to fill out a reference sheet and quote all your sources in there if you did use any. Then the rest, you want to have an introduction, body, and conclusion, just like any other thing you're writing. The intro kind of tells the audience what you are going to be talking about, but you also want to, it's going to be like a story. You're going to want to hook something that gets them interested and wants to stay interested. Your body obviously is going to be your main content and information. And then your conclusion, you always want to wrap it up, summarize what you've talked about. Also, for seniors, if you're talking about something more like political or a problem that you see in the world and it's something that needs to be changed, judges always like to see you kind of have a call to action at the end of your speeches. So maybe like you can always say, if you support me, reach out, or do this, or I'd like to, if you're, say, talking about the environment or how we could do better for the environment, you might, at the end of your speech, want to say, and I hope that you all put these practices into your life so that we can better the environment, something like that. And judges always like to see a call to action at the end of your speech as well. So that is something to keep in mind. Um, as well as to go with the intro part in 4-H, we have a weird intro. I'll probably put it on Facebook for you because there's a couple different options. But in 4-H competitions, you do have to include this. So usually you have a first couple few sentences, and then in 4-H world, you say, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, and fellow 4-H members," something like that. You always want to address your judges and also your MC as well. But I will post all the proper formatting for that on Facebook, and then you can just add it into your intro wherever you see fit. So yes, for competition day, your prepared speeches, juniors and intermediates, they're going to be 3 to 5 minutes long. Seniors, 4 to 6 minutes. So once you have written your speech at home, you're going to want to practice, 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 and make sure it is within those time limits, or else you will get penalized if you're below or above that time limit. Same with, so impromptu speeches, for you that don't know, is you will pull 3 topics on competition day, and you have 1 minute to pick one and write down everything you can. And then juniors and intermediates, you have to talk about that topic for 1 to 2 minutes, and seniors 2 to 3 minutes. And I'll go over some tips and tricks a little bit later, but reference sheets as well. Just a reminder, Candace will probably print them for you one of these days and hand them out before public speaking, so you can fill them out and bring them to public speaking when we do that. And then another thing I wanted to touch on was time cards, because when you're being timed at competitions, sometimes it gets confusing. So there'll be a timer that's sitting in front of you, and they'll have time cards that holds up, and it'll be like 2 minutes, 1 minute. And the part that people get confused about is when they hold up the time card that says 2 minutes, it means that you have 2 minutes left to speak. So for juniors and intermediates, when they hold up 2 minutes, it means you've hit your 3-minute mark, so you're good. You just have to wrap it up within that 2 minutes. So some people get confused about that, so I just wanted to touch on that. Same with the 1 minute, 30 seconds. It means you have 1 minute until you're going to go over, or you have 30 seconds until you're going to go over. And then once you see that stop sign, it means you've hit your 5 minutes and you better wrap it up quick. Yes, so practicing. Practicing is probably the biggest part in public speaking. You can't just get up there and wing it. I'm sorry, it doesn't quite work. So practice as much as you can. Practice in front of your mirror. If your grandparents are over, practice in front of them. Practice in front of your friends. Practice in front of your teacher. Just practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the better you'll be. Also, maybe ask your mom to video yourself one time while you're practicing and watch it back, because you don't really realize some of the things you're doing until you watch it back yourself. Like, I always watch back my own speeches, and I realize I say a lot in my impromptu speeches, and in the moment I don't even notice. During my prepared speeches, I also like to sway back and forth, and because I'm up there and I'm nervous in the moment, I don't notice it. So you have to watch back your videos to kind of pick up on those things and help yourself improve. For impromptus, they also take a lot of practice, but they get easy really quickly once you kind of figure out the little tricks to them. So everybody always says like the what, where, who, why, how. I don't really like that method. I'm not going to lie. Because when you get up there and they ask you to describe your favorite ice cream cone, and you're saying it's really creamy and I eat it with my friends and I eat it at night and I eat it during the summer, and it's a vanilla ice cream and it has sprinkles. It gets really monotonous and kind of mundane, and the fact that it's kind of boring. You're just up there describing an ice cream cone. And so I always say to kids when I'm running workshops is come up with a story because storytelling keeps the audience engaged. So you might not have a story about an ice cream cone, but the audience and the judges doesn't know that. So I might go up there and say, one day I was walking around Pigeon Lake with my friends and we saw this beautiful ice cream shop. And we stopped and we looked at all the different flavors and I picked this one and why. And then we continued strolling and this ice cream cone was just amazing. And that is why that's my favorite ice cream cone. And all of a sudden it becomes a real story and people are engaged. And yeah, it's you can do the who, what, where, why, how, but come up with a story. Make it up if you don't have a story because the audience doesn't know that you weren't at Pigeon Lake eating ice cream this summer. But a story kind of always makes it better. But also, when you get your cue card and you have your 1 minute to write your impromptu speech, a lot of people start writing it out word for word. You don't have that much time. 1 minute is not enough to write a 1 minute speech. So I like to write down as many bullet points about the thing I'm talking about as possible. And then when I'm up there, I can quickly just look down, see that one key word, and then it all kind of, you can just make it up on the spot. It's an impromptu speech. That's what it's meant to be. But again, the main thing is just to practice at home and you get pretty used to it. So on competition day, you need to come prepared. And the first thing is looking professional. You do not want to show up in front of 3 judges in sweatpants and a hoodie. Um, for the club level, it doesn't have to be that fancy. Like, boys, if you have jeans and a button up shirt, that is clean. That is perfectly acceptable. Girls, you can wear jeans at a club level as long as you have a really nice shirt and you're well put together. Anywhere above the club level, if you move on, girls, you're going to want to be in dresses and skirts. Boys, they'll want you to be in with, a suit jacket on or something. But for the club level, it's very acceptable for jeans and a nice shirt. Remove distractions. So, girls, if you're constantly twirling with your hair or fidgeting with it, pull it back. Make sure it's up out of your face. It's really distracting. Same with don't go up there with gum in your mouth and be the whole time. Yeah, don't wear anything really flowy, dangly that's going to get caught on anything. And just make sure you're comfortable, honestly, so you're not up there fidgeting with your clothes or your hair. So for materials that you need, in 4-H, it's always the norm to bring it on cue cards. And yeah, write it on cue cards. Don't bring up a big floppy paper that's going to be flopping around by the mic and crinkling. We don't like that. Do not read off your phone. I personally think it's very unprofessional to read off your phone. And also, to go along with the cue cards, judges also don't like it when you have the ring on your cue cards to flip it, because you can be fidgeting with it and it can get quite annoying. So just number your cue cards in case they get out of order, but try not to keep them on a ring. And next thing I wanted to touch on is this is probably really scary for a lot of you. It's a lot of your first time doing public speaking in this kind of competition setting, but it's okay to be nervous. And it gets better as you go on. I've done over probably 40 public speaking competitions in my life, and I can say it does get better the more you practice. Of course, I'm still a little nervous when I go up there, but it's okay. You're only up there for a maximum of 5 minutes, and you're going to be okay. So, Next thing I want to talk on is how we actually speak. So, when I'm talking to you guys and public speaking, I always want to be looking out into the audience. Because if I'm talking down like this and not making eye contact, nobody gonna pay attention to me, and also you can't hear my voice as well. So, that's really important. Oh, my camera just moved. But yeah, it's really important to keep eye contact. If you have to, one of my tips is you don't have to look directly into their eyes because I know sometimes that can be scary, but try to look right over top of their heads. Look at the top of their heads. The judges won't know the difference when you're up on the stage because sometimes making direct eye contact isn't the funnest. So, the next thing I have on here is hand gestures. You don't want to be standing like an army man with your hands by your side, looking all rigid. You want to be fluid and talk with your hands, but you also don't want to be distracting. So, a little gesture here or there, but it doesn't have to be. Don't make it too crazy, is what I'm saying. Emotion. This goes along with picking a topic that you're passionate about because your genuine emotions will come out when you do that. And so it makes this portion a lot easier. When I've gone to competitions where I don't get to pick my topic, it's a little bit hard. You kind of got to fake it till you make it, but you need to be engaging and act like you really care about this topic, or else everybody's going to be on their phones, not listening to you. Sorry, but that's just how it goes, especially when there's 20 some kids doing speeches all day long. You want to stand out and make people feel your emotion so that they're actually genuinely engaged. Because if you genuinely care, they'll feel that and want to listen. Now, pauses and speed. I struggle with this one sometimes, but it's okay to take a breath in the middle of your speech and have a pause and let people digest what you just said. If you have a really important sentence in there that you want to highlight, take a second after and let the audience digest that instead of just rambling on really, really fast. And a lot of people, especially their first couple speeches, when they get up there, they go up there and they want to be like a rapper because they just want to get it over with and run away off stage. And I get it, it's scary, but always go slower than you think you need to go when you're up there. Because trust me, you might think you're going slow, but the audience feels like you're still rapping in front of them. Another little um, tip is if you're using the microphone and the MC will introduce you and you're standing there, stand a little bit back from the microphone, take a second, pause, breathe before you start your speech, then step up to the microphone and stop talking. Same thing when you're done, stop, step back, and take a second. Because some people, if this lovely water bottle is my microphone, they're talking and they get to their end of the speech and then they just turn away as they're finishing their last sentence. And it just looks like you're rushing off stage. So take a step back, take one deep breath, and then walk off stage. It looks a lot better. I know it's scary, but don't be in a rush to get off stage. And finally, I just wanted to say, have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. It's You're gonna make a mistake in your life, and that's okay. Also, the judges in the audience do not know what you were meant to say. So if you mess up a sentence or you say the wrong thing, just go with it, roll with it. The audience doesn't know that you messed up because they don't know what your speech is on. So just just take it with a grain of salt and move on. Also, I am going to find some videos of a junior, intermediate, and senior speech, and I will post them on the Facebook page for you guys, just as a little example, as well as I have a link to a couple documents from 4-H Alberta that kind of outline more of the rules of public speaking, as well as some more in-depth tips and tricks. So I will post that on the Facebook too for you guys. And yeah, other than that, if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free. to reach out to me. And yeah, I will help you guys as much as you need. And yeah, start thinking about topics and what you want to write about, because public speaking will be at the end of January and you want to be able to get in as much practice as you can. So, yeah, thank you guys, and let me know if you have any questions.